When you lose in WWE Games, you don't have to have a single worry about it. Well, most of the time anyway. In most WWE games, you lose, it says that you have to try again, or in some cases the story just continues with losing not even being punished, and sometimes it's even encouraged to lose. However, there are some WWE games that will throw a game over at you for losing, with some of them being harsher than the other, with the more relaxed game overs allowing saving or some form of continuing. The harsher game overs in WWE games, however, include completely ending your session right there and then with no saving, and it's back to the start of the game or mode you was trying to get through. And even one game over in this video can actually be triggered by not having enough money. That is actually how harsh some of these game overs will be in this video. But before we get to that, I want to talk about Raid Shadow Legends, as it is the sponsor of today's video. Raid Shadow Legends is a free-to-play, ambitious RPG mobile game that can be compared to some of the biggest PC and console titles out there. Raid features amazing 3D graphics along with an interesting storyline that includes giant boss battle fights, PvP battles, and hundreds of champions to collect and customize. And right now, here's a look at some of the champions you can get and how incredible the level of detail is for each one. Raid is getting big really fast, so make sure to get in there early and get a head start over the future competition. There's also an upcoming special launch tournament with incredible in-game prizes and real-life physical prize packs up for grabs. And don't forget to also join my clan, search for This Gen Gaming and get joined up. So make sure to first go to the description, download Raid through my link only to get 50,000 silver immediately, along with a free epic champion. I'll see you all on Raid Shadow Legends. WWE 2K19 introduced us to Towers mode, and that had us running different types of gauntlet, with some being easy and relaxed. Then you have the $1 Million Tower, which is the complete opposite of that. A 15 match gauntlet on the hardest difficulty that has no continues, no saving, and it has to be done in one single run. To ramp up the difficulty and make that game over even more likelier, and to also make you panic a little bit, there's also a set timer for matches in the $1 Million Tower. So even if your plans are going to perfection, you have to make sure that it's also being done within a time limit, and trust me, that timer goes way faster than it actually looks. If you're like me and you wasn't blessed with the greatest of WWE Games skill, you probably wouldn't have even seen some of these later matches that you had to compete in, because you were constantly getting hit with that game over and had to go all the way back to the start. It's fair to say that I won't be winning that $1 million anytime soon. SmackDown Just Spring It story mode consisted of just 3 shows. If you didn't know it already, it was literally just Raw, SmackDown, pay-per-view, story's over. But you wouldn't think in a mode that's that short that you could get some of the harshest game overs that have ever been in a WWE game ever. You could literally pick the wrong choice in this story mode and it could be game over just from that. In this scenario I'm in right now, I'm in a tag team that I don't want to be in anymore, so I'm looking for Vince to let him know that I'm not going to be competing in tonight's match. I mean, come on, I'm Triple H, I can do whatever I want. I mean, I don't even need to be here. Well, actually, it's kind of correct in this case, as Vince is so furious that he doesn't even want you to compete tonight and demands for you to leave the arena at once, presumably to go home. Or did I just get fired? I'm not even too sure. But anyway, after all this happens, it's game over, the story mode ends, and you'll have to go all the way back to the start. Attention. And I think when I start up again, I think this time I need to be all like, yes boss, good idea boss. Maybe by doing that I'll get a title shot this time and not kicked out of the arena. Now you might remember the Royal Rumble game that released exclusively on the Dreamcast. Did you know that it was also an arcade game? Well, if you was a kid in the early 2000s, I'm sure you did see these things as they were everywhere at the time. And if it's not obvious already, the arcade version of Royal Rumble is the one I'm going to be talking about. It'll make sense soon. Royal Rumble worked like your typical 90s fighter arcade game. You play through a series of matches to try and get to the final boss, which was Vince McMahon in this game. Now in Royal Rumble you can lose in the usual ways as you would expect to see in a wrestling game, like losing by pin or submission, but you can actually also lose by the timer running out. You have to remember that this is an arcade game, so it's going to be fast paced. It's going to be trying its hardest to make sure you lose and give them even more cash. If you do lose, you will be asked if you want to continue, with a countdown ticking down until it's actually game over and your progress is completely wiped off. So this is actually a rare case of a game over happening in WWE games because you either didn't have enough cash to spend or you didn't feel like spending any more money on this game. And if I remember correctly, this machine was pretty expensive to play. Before you had title matches whenever you want in WWE games, there was a title match mode in WWE Raw that allowed you to go after any WWE title as long as you could keep winning your matches. The better the title, the more matches you're expected to win until you get that final match for the title. And as you know with champions, they can't be losers, so that's why you're only given a few chances to make your way to the final match for the championship that you've chosen to go after. If you use up all of your continues, then it will be game over for you, and all of your progression towards the title match will be erased, so you'll have to go all the way back to the start and go through those matches all over again to get to that final title match. No Mercy's Championship mode was known for its amazing branching storylines, with stories changing in major ways depending on if you win or lose matches. Losing matches was somewhat acceptable until you got a match where the only requirement was to win the match, unlike before where the storyline would continue had you lost the match. So that means that the storyline will not continue unless you win this specific match. To make it worse, it always seemed like these must-win matches were already the hardest ones to win anyway. I mean, look at this right now, for example. I'm in a must-win no DQ handicap match with only 3 continues, and once those continues run out, the game over screen will play. The game may be called No Mercy, but it does actually give you a little mercy by not kicking you back all the way to the start. That is, if you have been saving your progress. So if you do get the game over, you could just start back from where you saved. If, however, you forgot to save, I'm afraid this game over is a complete game over. You have to go all the way back to the start. The lesson here, always save, and I'll call that my tip of the day. WWE Betrayal was not your normal WWE game, in that you compete in the ring, have a match, 1, 2, 3 and you win. No, that's not the case with Betrayal. You're actually on a quest to save Stephanie McMahon that has you beating up refs for some reason, and later on you're beating up mechanics. I don't know, this game didn't even make sense to me when I was a kid. Still now, I'm not really sure what they're going for, but anyway, it was a side-scrolling, beat-em-up game, so you wouldn't be too shocked to know that you have health points and life points. If you lose all of your health, no matter where you are in the level, you'll be sent all the way back to the start of that level. No checkpoints at all. Lose all of your lives and it will be a game over. Now there is a continue system in Betrayal, but it is something out of like a late 80s or early 90s video game where you have to use a passcode to get back to the start of the level that you got game overed on. Forget that level passcode or lost the paper you wrote it down on, then it would be back to the start of the game for you. WrestleMania 18 on the GameCube had a mode called Battle for the Belts that let you go after many different custom championships, with each path of these titles having their own difficulty setting. It was kind of similar to Raw's title match mode mentioned earlier in this video, with you choosing one superstar to go through a series of matches all without saving and in one big run until you finally win that title match at the end. However, there was one big difference with WrestleMania 18. There was no continuing at all. You had to win each and every match, so one single loss would truly be game over, as it would send you all the way back to the start. And my question in all of this is, what was it with WWE Games around this time doing this type of mode? I'm not even joking, it seemed like every WWE game around this time had this kind of mode. Road to WrestleMania mode in the SmackDown vs Raw series was full of continues. There was never really a situation that led to anything that could be considered a game over, other than one thing, and that was bad endings when you lose at WrestleMania. Now if you're familiar with Road to WrestleMania mode, you'll know that in like 99.9% of the matches you lose and it says that you gotta win, so you just try again. But in some Road to WrestleMania scenarios, you could lose at WrestleMania and you would get a bad ending, with some being worse than others. Like this one for example right now, unless you wanted to be a druid I guess.
Doesn't look good. He's being overwhelmed. What? I can't see.
After this ended, the credits would roll, and unless you had saved prior to this match, that was it for your Road to WrestleMania playthrough. No continuing, it's game over. Better luck next time getting the true ending. WWE 2K14 celebrated The Undertaker's WrestleMania streak with 2 modes, with one of those modes being Defeat the Streak and the other one being Defend the Streak, which lets you play as The Undertaker as everyone on the 2K14 roster tries to beat The Undertaker once and for all, as at this time The Undertaker's WrestleMania streak looked like it was never going to come to an end. It was pretty much Slobberknocker mode with an Undertaker WrestleMania streak theme to it, and like Slobberknocker mode, once you are defeated and defend the streak, it's game over and The Undertaker's streak is over. I mean, it's not all bad because even when you lose, you still get to keep your ranking and points that you earned. Whilst on the subject of Slobberknocker mode, SmackDown Shut Your Mouth had an amazing backstage Slobberknocker match where you had to go through multiple superstars at a time by either pinning, submitting or knocking them out. Once you have defeated the superstars in that backstage area, you can then move on towards the next backstage area, and this happens on and on until you reach the final area to complete the backstage Slobberknocker. Just like all versions of the Slobberknocker mode, you can't lose at all or it will be game over. And in this version you won't even get into the rankings, which makes that game over just that little bit worse. I mean, at least with Defend the Streak I got to keep my ranking and scoring. So that is the end of the video. Or should I say game over for this video. Yeah, that was terrible. So getting back to this outro, if there's any game overs in WWE Games that I missed, make sure to leave them in the comments. I mean, I'd like to think that I've pretty much got every significant game over in WWE Games in this video, but there's just so many WWE games out there that I'm sure there's still even more to mention. If you did enjoy this video, then I would really appreciate a like on it. And if you haven't subscribed already, please make sure to subscribe with notifications on. And there's nothing much more to say, then I'll see you on the next video.